Emma was a 28-year-old woman living in a bustling city, recently back in the dating game after a long, rough patch. After a messy breakup with her college boyfriend who had turned out to be possessive, she had put her love life on hold for several years, focusing instead on her career as a graphic designer. But now, she felt ready to open her heart again. The push came from her friends, who had started pairing up and sharing excitement about their own relationships. They joked that it was time for Emma to find her Prince Charming, and their enthusiasm sparked a yearning within her. Yet, as Emma dipped her toes into the modern dating scene, she was met with a wave of fears. She had heard countless stories about the challenges of online dating, where swiping left and right had become the norm. The very thought of meeting someone through an app brought back memories of awkward first dates and painful rejections. What if she put herself out there and it all fell apart like before? The doubts swirled in her mind. She found herself asking if she was still lovable, despite her past. Her heartbreak from so long ago cast shadows on her new adventure. Emma took a deep breath and began exploring dating apps. She chose apps that allowed her to express herself. She enjoyed using profiles that emphasized interests rather than just looks. Using these platforms, she hoped to connect with people who shared her passion for art and adventure. Over time, she became familiar with messaging and meeting new people through these tools, yet she often reminded herself to take things one step at a time. Emma knew confronting social pressure was vital. She resisted the urge to follow trends that didn't feel right for her. Instead, she focused on her instincts and what made her feel safe and respected. As she began her journey, past relationships served as cautionary tales rather than heavy burdens. Emma learned from each old flame. A previous boyfriend's tendency to criticize her ideas taught her not to settle for someone who didn't appreciate her creativity. Another relationship had revealed the importance of clear communication and trust. Emma wanted a partner who valued her opinions and treated her as a complete individual. With these new standards in mind, she stepped lightly but confidently into the dating world, keeping hope alive as she navigated through a mix of excitement and anxiety. She was creating a new love story, one step away from doubt and toward the adventure of discovery. As Emma ventured further into dating, she quickly began to feel the weight of its emotional roller coaster. At first, the excitement of new connections lit up her days like bright city lights. Each notification brought a thrill, each match a new possibility. But after several weeks of swiping and chatting, that initial spark dimmed. She found herself feeling tired and deflated. The cycle of going on dates became routine, yet it was a tiring routine. Emma tried to keep her spirits high, but meeting new people brought its own pressure. Some dates were awkward, others just didn't click. The constant hope for connection often turned into disappointment. She'd scroll through her dating app, staring at the same faces, each one blending into the next. Receiving mixed signals became a frustrating pattern. One person she met would share a great laugh, only to suddenly go quiet. Others seemed enthusiastic at first but would fade away without explanation. Every ghosting, every faded text, built on her self-doubt. Emma began asking herself if it was her fault. Was she too picky? Was she doing something wrong? She had invested her time and energy but often found herself sitting alone, struggling to understand what she could have done differently. The questions piled up, feeding her anxiety. When her friends shared their happy stories, she felt a pang of envy mixed with defeat. Despite their encouragement, an unsettling thought lingered: was dating worth the effort? Each weekend brought new hopes, yet also a heaviness in her heart. There were nights of bliss, laughter, and shared moments, but they were often followed by deep lows when connections fell apart. Emma tried to remind herself that dating was a dance, but it felt more like she was stepping on toes more often than not. During one particularly draining week, she found herself wandering through a park, thoughts swirling in her mind like fallen leaves. What was she looking for? Love? Companionship? Understanding? All these thoughts made her restless, and she wondered if she was just wasting time. Conversations with her friends didn't help much. They were well-meaning, but they often failed to capture the depth of her doubts. She felt isolated in her struggles, even while surrounded by many singles engaging in the same routine. With this rising sense of fatigue, Emma realized she needed a break. Stepping back felt like giving up, but she approached it as a time to reset. She decided to spend the next weekend enjoying her own company, away from the pressures of the dating scene. This meant painting in her room, binge-watching her favorite shows, and cooking delightful meals. It felt refreshing and liberating to claim space just for herself, focusing on what made her happy. This brief break gave her some clarity and renewed strength. Emma reminded herself that she was not alone in her experience. Many shared the burden of dating fatigue. The lessons she had learned so far were important, and she recognized that it was okay to pause and take a step back. By reconnecting with herself, she embraced patience and realized that the journey of dating could also be a journey of self-exploration. This newfound perspective made her hopeful again, even if she eyebrows deep plus adds what eyes were now open to the challenges ahead. As Emma re-entered the dating scene with renewed energy, she finally matched with someone who seemed like a breath of fresh air. His name was Jake, a friendly guy with a charming smile and a shared love for art. They connected over a movie-themed first date where laughter came easily, and their shared interests felt like the secret threads weaving their lives together. For the first time in a long while, Emma felt that spark she had hoped to find. At first, Jake seemed perfect in every way. Their conversations flowed seamlessly, and sparks flew each time they met. Emma found herself daydreaming about what their future could look like, picturing laughter-filled evenings and cozy art exhibitions together. However, as their relationship progressed, a shadow of uncertainty began to creep in. When they first talked about their feelings, Emma felt the ground shift beneath her. It became clear that Jake cherished his independence above all else and was not ready to discuss commitment. He enjoyed living in the moment, while Emma worried about what the future held. This realization struck Emma like a sudden storm. All those hopes she had built began to feel fragile. She often thought about the weeks of dating fatigue she had just overcome and how much she wanted something genuine and lasting. Did she need to accept a relationship without the security of commitment? The budding relationship tested her feelings deeply. Emma began to question what she truly wanted. Was it enough to share laughter and joy if there was no shared vision for the future? Her internal conflict grew heavier as she juggled her hopefulness with her desire for something more stable. During deep conversations, Emma found herself opening up more about what love meant to her. She wanted someone who would stand by her side in both moments of joy and hardship. But Jake often brushed off serious conversations about the future or commitment, dismissing them with a laugh. Emma felt torn between her desire for connection and the nagging doubt about whether their relationship could fulfill her needs. As the weeks rolled on, Emma faced a turning point. She had a candid talk with herself, realizing that love should not feel like an endless waiting game. She appreciated the fun and support Jake brought into her life. However, deep down, she knew she needed more than just fleeting moments of connection. This awareness created a spark of confidence in her. Emma reflected on the lessons from her past relationships and recognized the importance of standing firm in her needs. One evening, after a wonderfully fun day, Emma gathered her thoughts and decided to share her feelings. Sitting across from Jake, she spoke earnestly about her desire for a serious relationship. To her surprise, Jake listened intently, though a hint of concern crossed his face. He valued his independence but also cared for Emma. The conversation became a delicate dance of understanding their differences, yet it was a step forward in clarity. While she didn't receive the answer she hoped for, Emma did learn about the importance of honest communication. This moment marked a small victory for Emma. It reminded her of her worthiness in love and her right to express her needs. Even though her connection with Jake did not progress in the way she had imagined, Emma felt a newfound strength surging within her. She began to understand that each step, even the difficult ones, brought her closer to defining the love she desired. Emma emerged from this situation not in despair, but with a heart brimming with growing confidence. And slowly, she began to recognize her journey was not just about finding love but also about understanding herself. As Emma moved forward in her relationship with Jake, the air felt thick with tension. Days turned into weeks, and while moments of happiness still existed, so did moments of uncertainty. After their honest conversation about commitment, Emma hoped they would find common ground, but Jake seemed comfortable with things as they were. She spent many nights lying awake, replaying their encounters in her mind, feeling the weight of her desires pushing against the walls of her heart. One evening, they went out to dark movie night, like so many times before. Sharing popcorn and half-hearted whispers during the film, Emma struggled to focus on the screen. Instead, her thoughts drifted to the chasm forming between what she needed and what Jake wanted. While he laughed with her and seemed engaged, she sensed a growing distance that echoed louder than any joke. Would she always be the one to hope while he kept things light and casual? On their way home, Emma felt the urgency to face this issue. Taking a deep breath, she decided it was time to express her feelings once more. "Jake," she began, her voice steady but her heart racing, "I care for you deeply, but I need to know where we're heading." The surprising thing was that as the words spilled out, they felt different this time. Instead of feeling vulnerable or scared, Emma felt a surge of confidence. She was taking a stand for her needs, but she feared how he would respond. Jake looked at her, surprise written across his face. "Emma, I've told you before. I just want to enjoy life now. Committing to a serious relationship is not my plan." His tone was kind, yet firm, and Emma felt her heart sink. This wasn't what she wanted to hear, and the rejection felt heavy in her chest. She felt like two worlds were pulling at her, a desire for connection and the need to respect herself. This moment became a turning point. Emma realized she had a choice to make. Should she keep compromising her dreams of lasting love to stay in a relationship that no longer aligned with her values? The fear of being alone whispered in her ear, making the decision even harder. After all the heartbreak and struggles she endured before, was it worth risking this relationship, even if it felt off balance? But this time, rather than clinging to a familiar but unstable love, she envisioned the kind of relationship she craved, a relationship filled with mutual respect, love, and shared goals. As she wrestled with these thoughts, Emma felt strength bubbling inside her, urging her to honor her worth. A fire ignited in her gut. She thought about her past and how she had tolerated behaviors that undermined her needs. In those moments of silence, she realized that staying true to herself was non-negotiable. She wouldn't allow fear to define her choices anymore. Making the leap to stand firm in her values took courage. Emma looked at Jake through determined eyes and spoke with clarity, "I deserve a connection where both parties share their desires. I want to grow with someone who wants to plan a future together." These words felt liberating. A sense of power filled her, sparking hope against all the doubts she had felt before. No matter what happened next in their relationship, Emma had transformed that evening. She knew she could redefine her path without settling. This realization marked a significant moment in her journey, one where she chose herself first. The balance between love and self-respect was worth fighting for, and she understood that now. Emma knew that the moment had come. After her realization about the importance of self-respect, she felt a mix of determination and anxiety. As she sat across from Jake at a quiet coffee shop, the aroma of fresh coffee filled the air, but it did little to calm her nerves. She could feel her heart racing, and every tick of the clock seemed to echo the weight of their conversation. Looking into Jake's eyes, Emma took a steadying breath. "Jake, I want to talk about us," she started, her voice firm yet gentle. "I've been thinking a lot about our relationship, and I need to share how I feel." She could see his expression shift as he prepared for what she was about to say, and the tension in the air became palpable. "I care about you so much," she continued, "but I'm worried about our different views on love and commitment." As she spoke, she felt a mix of vulnerability and empowerment, aware that this conversation might change everything for them. "I want something serious, someone to build a future with." And I'm not sure if we are on the same page. Jake's features tightened, a hint of defensiveness flickering in his eyes. Emma, I thought we were having fun together. I like what we have right now. Why rush into labeling everything? His tone carried an edge, and for a moment, Emma felt a wave of doubt wash over her. But I need more than just fun, she replied, feeling her resolve strengthen. I want a partner who dreams about the future with me, not someone who is only interested in the present. As the words flowed from her, she sensed a shift within herself. She was asserting her needs, not demanding an outcome. The conversation turned into deeper waters. Jake's face clouded as he wrestled with her words. Look, I enjoy being with you. I just don't want to feel trapped. We are young, and there's so much to explore. His words tangled with fear and uncertainty. Emma could feel the conflict bubbling beneath the surface of their talk. The air thickened as they faced each other, their desires laid bare. Emma realized they were looking at two different paths. Jake wanted to roam freely, while she yearned for stability and connection. Conflicting feelings emerged, and the risks of each perspective loomed large in the room. I'm not trying to rush you, she said, trying to keep the conversation calm. But for me, love is about building something together. If we're not aligned, then maybe we aren't meant to be. This statement hung heavily between them. It was a dangerous declaration that carried the risk of losing everything she had built with him. Emma could see the wheels turning in Jake's mind as he processed her words. If the truth of their relationship led to conflict, would they find a solution, or would it signal the end? The thought made her gut churn, but her heart urged her to remain true to herself. To her surprise, Jake softened a little. I didn't realize how seriously you were taking this. I need to think. The idea of losing you scares me, but I'm not ready to rush in just yet. His honesty revealed his own fears. Both were standing on a fragile edge, but Emma felt hopeful. Their open discussion led to mutual understanding, even amidst the underlying tension. Emma knew they were no longer dancing around their feelings, and this insight brought clarity. It was a turning point, revealing that sometimes honesty could create bridges instead of barriers. She could see Jake's fear reflected back at her, and for the first time, she felt that love could also mean facing uncomfortable truths together. As they talked, Emma understood that even if their paths diverged, this moment mattered. By allowing herself to express her needs, she took a critical step in understanding not just their relationship but also herself. The risk was daunting, yet the potential for growth left her feeling more empowered than ever. Regardless of the outcome, Emma walked away knowing she had fought for what she believed in, which was a significant victory for her heart. After their intense conversation, Emma felt a storm brewing inside her. She and Jake had revealed their fears and desires, yet the uncertainty hung heavy in the air. He liked her and valued their time together, but his hesitation to commit was clear. Emma understood his perspective, but for her, love meant moving forward together. This clash left her at a crucial crossroads, where she had to make a tough decision. That night, Emma sat in her small apartment, staring at the blank walls that once felt like a cozy refuge. Now, they seemed to close in on her as thoughts raced through her mind. Should she stay in a relationship that didn't fulfill her needs or take the leap to walk away? Staying would be comfortable, but in her heart, she knew it wouldn't lead to the happiness she dreamed of. The thought of comfort kept pulling at her, but Emma reminded herself of how far she had come. She reflected on her week with Jake, the laughter and joyful moments interwoven with the heartbreak of knowing their paths were fundamentally different. Every time they dated, she felt a lingering sense of yearning that left her frustrated. Emma knew that she deserved a partnership where her needs were acknowledged and valued, not brushed aside. As memories of their differences flooded her mind, she felt a resolve begin to solidify. The stakes loomed high. If she chose to stay, she risked compromising her happiness for the sake of avoiding the pain of loneliness. But by leaving, she also faced the challenge of being alone again, a place she had struggled with after her previous heartbreaks. Emma contemplated the possibility of embarking on a healthier path, one where she could thrive and grow through her dating experiences. In that moment of clarity, she recognized something profound. Walking away did not mean she would fail. Instead, it meant she was taking control of her narrative. It became clear that she needed to honor the guiding force within her, the desire for a lasting love that fulfilled her dreams. Holding on to expectations that didn't match with her values felt burdensome, and Eleanor realized that choosing herself was not only vital but also empowering. The next day, she reached out to Jake, requesting to meet at their usual park, where they first bonded over art. As she arrived, the anticipation fluttered in her chest like a hummingbird. She caught sight of him sitting on a bench, sketchbook in hand, and for a moment, everything felt like it used to: light, playful, happy. But deep down, Emma knew that this conversation would alter everything. "Jake, thank you for meeting me," she began, determined yet gentle in tone. "I've thought a lot about what we discussed, and I need to be honest again." The words spilled from her mouth, infused with her truth. "I don't think we are meant to continue in this way. I need a relationship that encourages growth and real plans for the future. I have to choose myself." For a moment, silence fell between them like a blanket. Jake looked at her, his expression shifting from surprise to sadness. "I understand," he said softly, his voice almost lost in the breeze that rustled through the trees. Emma felt her heart strain, but there was also relief coursing through her. There was a finality to her words, but she also sensed that he understood her struggle. As she walked away from that park, a weight lifted off Emma's shoulders. She knew she had made the right decision, one aligned with her needs and self-worth. Walking away from Jake was not an ending, it was the beginning of a new chapter. She was ready to embrace healthier dating experiences, filled with clarity about what she truly wanted. Emma had learned important lessons about love, communication, and self-respect. Each step she took opened the door to a future filled with hope and potential, allowing her to discover what real love looked like on her own terms. Having faced her biggest challenge, she felt empowered to continue her journey, knowing she was worthy of the love and commitment she sought. In the weeks that followed her breakup with Jake, Emma entered a new phase of reflection. She spent quiet evenings at home, where she could think deeply about what the end of their relationship truly meant. At first, the space felt heavy with sadness. It was natural to miss the laughter and comfort Jake had brought into her life, but soon, as she settled into her thoughts, she found her reflection transforming. Emma realized that her journey through dating had taught her invaluable lessons about herself. Before, she often waited for someone else to decide her worth. Now, she recognized that love should never feel like an endless pursuit devoid of respect or understanding. The memories of their conversations flooded her mind, shining a light on what she truly wanted. She appreciated the times when they connected and learned that their differences necessitated this difficult choice. Emma had honored her own needs, and that realization empowered her. Friend nights became supportive circles where she shared her experiences, and her friends celebrated her courage. Listening to their stories of loving relationships and difficult breakups mirrored her own journey. The comforting presence of her friends reminded Emma that she was not alone in navigating this complicated world of dating. Each shared experience echoed with understanding and the space to heal. Emma reflected on the many forms love could take, some joyful and some painful. She learned that not every connection leads to a lasting bond, and that was okay. As she scrolled through her dating app, she started to see it with fresh eyes. Instead of viewing it as a source of stress, Emma approached it as an opportunity for exploration. She reminded herself that dating didn't need to define her worth. With each match or unsuccessful conversation, she learned more about what she valued in potential partners. All the swirling confusion about what love should be served as a guidepost, shaping her awareness of the qualities she truly sought. She began to journal her thoughts, writing down her feelings about self-worth, connections, and her desires for the future. With every word, she felt the weight of uncertainty lift. Emma understood that love, in its many forms, was an important part of life's journey, and each chapter she lived out added depth to her understanding of relationships. Emma recognized that there would always be challenges and moments of self-doubt in the dating world, but now, she felt ready to face them. She understood that preserving her boundaries, communicating with honesty, and nurturing her self-love were essential components of any future relationship. Emma no longer equated being in a relationship with personal value. She now knew her worth remained steadfast, regardless of her relationship status. There was a quiet strength growing within her that calmed her fears. Although not every transition was easy, Emma felt hopeful about discovering connections that aligned with her heart. Reflecting on her past experiences with Jake didn't feel like a burden anymore. Instead, they became teaching moments that enriched her perspective on love. This entire process had led Emma to new understandings about companionship. She believed in waiting for someone who resonated with her deeply, appreciating her creativity, passions, and goals. She embraced a new attitude toward dating. It was about finding the right connections without rushing. Each date would be a chance to learn, whether it led to lasting love or simply a delightful experience. With her heart open and her spirit renewed, Emma was ready to step beyond the past. The lessons she learned had changed her outlook on love, allowing her to envision a fulfilling relationship based on mutual respect and understanding. No longer guided solely by fear or uncertainty, she felt empowered to explore the future, embracing the beautiful possibilities that lay ahead. After parting ways with Jake, Emma entered a period of self-discovery and healing. She felt the urge to nurture her confidence and rebuild her sense of self. Emma knew that she had allowed her romantic experiences to shape her happiness far too much. Now, it was time to focus on the person she wanted to be, independent of any relationship. To reclaim her sense of self, Emma embraced activities that brought joy into her life. Painting had always been a passion, and she dusted off her easel, rediscovering the vibrant life waiting on her canvas. She created pieces reflecting her emotions, from swirling blues representing sadness to bright yellows symbolizing hope. Every stroke of the brush felt like a release, allowing her to process her feelings and connect with her true self again. The art provided a balanced therapy amidst her emotional whirlwind. In addition to painting, Emma made time for activities that fueled her spirit. She took cooking classes and explored new recipes, savoring each flavor as a delightful adventure. Having friends over for dinner parties became a highlight of her weeks. Emma loved the laughter and connection around the table, which reinforced her sense of belonging and community. Through these experiences, she began to see herself as someone capable of creating happiness apart from romance. Stepping back from the dating scene felt natural and necessary. Emma needed this time to reflect on her journey, recentering her values and goals. She focused on building her friendships and deepening connections with the people around her. Without the pressure of dating, she rediscovered the joy in shared moments, strengthening her bonds with those who mattered most. As the days turned into weeks, Emma felt her self-worth blossom. Journaling became a routine, where she poured out her feelings and insights. She wrote affirmations about her worth, reminding herself of the strength she needed to embrace. Pages filled with gratitude deepened her understanding of her identity. I am creative. I am strong. I am deserving of love while having love for myself. This practice illuminated her growth and resilience. Emma also reflected on her desires for any future relationship. She spent time daydreaming about the qualities she wanted in a partner, crafting a list that emphasized shared values and mutual respect. Instead of merely desiring a romantic connection, she honed in on wanting someone who would enrich her life. She learned to cherish qualities like kindness, emotional intelligence, and supportive communication. This clarity about her wants replaced uncertainty with a sense of purpose and direction. Eventually, Emma felt ready to dip her toes back into dating with a fresh outlook. When she reactivated her dating profile, this time she exuded a different energy. She approached interactions confidently, knowing her self-worth and what she desired. Instead of feeling pressured to rush into love, she looked forward to exploring connections with authenticity. Emma engaged in open conversations about her values and intentions right from the start. She felt lighter, more prepared to share her journey with others while remaining true to herself. This approach revitalized her dating experience. Emma found joy in meeting new people, discovering shared interests, and celebrating the small moments. Each interaction became meaningful as she reminded herself of the lessons she had learned. If a date didn't go as she hoped or if someone didn't align with her values, she felt secure enough to gracefully part ways. No more second-guessing or questioning her worth. The emotional journey she had navigated was now an essential part of her story. Emma understood that setbacks didn't define her, instead, they helped forge a resilient spirit. This transformation marked a new chapter, one where she embraced opportunities and connections enriched by self-awareness. Reclaiming her sense of self wasn't instantaneous, but with patience and practice, Emma had created a life laden with possibilities. Ready for the next steps, she honored her heart and stayed true to her vision of love, balance, and mutual respect, elements she now knew were vital to her happiness. As Emma continued to navigate the dating world after her journey of self-discovery, she felt an undeniable shift within herself. The time taken for healing and reflection had carved a new path for her, one illuminated by clarity and purpose. Stepping back into the dating scene was no longer filled with anxiety, instead, it felt empowering and hopeful. With each new encounter, Emma approached dating with a sense of openness and honesty that had previously felt daunting. She understood now that setting boundaries was not about closing herself off, it was about protecting her emotional well-being and embracing her worth. Emma began each conversation with the assurance that her desires and feelings were valid. She was no longer afraid to voice what she wanted, ensuring she communicated her intentions clearly from the start. Emma had learned that boundaries were healthy and essential in any relationship. She reflected on her past experiences and how easily she had let her needs slide to keep the peace. This time, she prioritized her values and upheld her standards with gentle confidence. With each date, she shared her thoughts about commitment and future goals early on, allowing herself to connect with others more deeply while being true to herself. In the months following her transformation, Emma discovered a new type of connection blossoming in her life. She went out with people who resonated with her interests and passions. They shared deep conversations about art, dreams, and aspirations, and the joy of these discussions fueled her spirit. It became clear that building a connection based on mutual respect and understanding laid the groundwork for deeper connections. With her newfound perspective, Emma learned to appreciate the beauty of the journey rather than fixating solely on the destination. She found excitement in the exploration of new relationships, accepting that some may lead to lasting love while others might simply be delightful experiences. This lightness, this understanding that every encounter was a part of her growth, helped her approach dating with optimism rather than pressure. Emma also understood that rejection was not a reflection of her worth. When dates didn't go well, she now viewed it as an opportunity to reflect on her needs rather than a personal failure. Each experience added to her understanding of compatibility, helping her hone in on exactly what kind of partner would align with her vision for the future. As she continued to go on dates, Emma felt a sense of gratitude for the lessons learned through her experiences with Jake and the journey they shared. Processing the ups and downs refined her inner strength and fueled her desire to seek connections that brought joy rather than uncertainty. The past relationships were stepping stones leading her toward a sweeter, more fulfilling love. Thinking about the future brought a vibrant sense of hope. Emma envisioned herself in a relationship filled with laughter, support, and genuine care. She longed for a partner who shared her dreams, someone who enhanced her life while walking side by side as equals. The desire for a meaningful connection burned brighter than before, fueled by her clarity and confidence. Through every attempt, Emma decided to remain open to the possibilities ahead. She was excited about future meetings and eager to embrace the journey without rigid expectations. Armed with the lessons of growth and self-acceptance, she felt equipped to explore love anew. Each day was a chance to learn something valuable, and Emma was ready and willing to embrace whatever came her way. Emerging stronger and more self-aware, Emma knew she was exactly where she needed to be, standing confidently in her truth, open and optimistic for the love that awaited her. Rather than seeking validation, she chose to revel in the beauty of being fully herself, knowing that the right connections would come when she remained true to who she had become. Life, in all its richness, was now her canvas, and she was prepared to paint it with vivid colors of self-love and possibility.